live on Facebook, live on YouTube, running 2 cameras, 2 computers, getting crazy, silly times. Am I on the wrong side again?
Yep, you're on my...
I'm sorry.
This is my good side.
This is a good side.
This is as good as it gets.
Gotta get on the good side. All right. You gotta stay on your good side. I'm gonna mute this one too. Okay. So I hope this, hope the cameras look okay for everybody. We may have to adjust a little bit here and there. There was one series of questions that I totally forgot to write down, and so I'm going to get to that one Saturday. Sorry, Dave. Dave had given me a series of questions that, gosh, do you remember what it was from?
Yeah, I think that would be a good, just a separate...
Maybe that should just be a separate video altogether, but we'll do that. Mike McLean actually had a request the last time. If you guys have any questions, write them down. Mandy can read them for me because my eyes are going bad and I'm old. But any questions, write them in the comments and we'll try to address them as best we can. The one question I do remember I didn't get a chance to cover in the last video was it was deep in like full on choke. In the triangle choke defense, okay? So when it's fully locked in, triangle choke defense. I've seen a lot of people, there's a lot of, I mean, there's a bunch of defenses out there for the triangle, and you'll hear people, you know, like, this is the only one that works, and blah, blah, blah. Man, it's such a complex position that you have to, yeah. There's so many things that somebody can do with the triangle choke, the triangle position, that to say that there's one answer for all triangle, I think is just silly. I have my go-tos. I know it works well for me, but I look at the triangle defense in 3 different ranges. Range, or I guess they used to have the terror threat level. If you guys remember that, there was like threat level yellow, threat level orange, threat level red. You know, red's really bad. So for me, the threat levels for the triangle were threat level yellow is like, okay, I'm in the triangle position, but they don't have my arm across, they don't have my head down, I'm not choking yet. They haven't fitted into triangle yet. So, or they haven't choked me yet, right? And keep in mind that it's a separate position all in itself. There's a bunch of things you can do in that position, not just the choke. You can arm lock, you can shoulder lock, you can strike, you can wrist lock. You name it, sweep. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration when you're talking about triangle defenses, okay? So for me, I have a go-to defense. My response when I'm in the triangle position and my head is up and my arm's back is different than what happens. Let's go to the triangle position, please. Or actually, yeah, let's just get here like this, okay? So my response here is going to be very different than if it's like full on, like down here and choking, okay? So I think that's important to talk about first is, you know, what is appropriate at what stage? So for me, threat level, yeah, that's threat level yellow. My posture's up, my elbow's back, my arm, I'm not in danger of an arm lock, I'm not in danger of getting choked yet. But I gotta address the situation, okay? So what I would do there is different than what I would do in threat level orange. So for me, orange would be either arms across, I'm in danger for an arm lock, or my head is down. They're able to pull my head down and I don't have the ability to posture or do any of the defenses that require a posture. For me, the stack is my favorite defense in that scenario. So in most of the time, if I can't just posture up out of it, I'll end up going to the stacking position. And the older I get, actually, I'm way better at the stack, defending the triangle now than I was even 5 years ago. Like I've learned some details that have really made the stack out completely. Man, it's been a game changer for me. Sometimes I'll even bait it. Now there's some guys who are going to be able to beat me there. They're going to be able to. But I'll tell you, like when I was training with, last year, I've got a video of it, me and Hero and Gracie training. He wants me to go for the triangle. Now, very few people, and I've trained with a lot of people, and I've caught some really good people in the triangle and been able to finish it. But his level of defense was better. His stack was better than my attack. And so I think that's important for everybody to understand, is that it doesn't matter what defense it is or what position. If your opponent has more experience on the offensive side of the attack than you do on the defensive side, they automatically have an advantage over you. So what do? You do your best to try to put yourself in those positions intentionally and try to defend them, right? So if let's say last time you competed, you got caught in a triangle choke, and nobody in the gym is typically catching you in a triangle choke, all right? Well, time to let your training partners have an attempt at the triangle choke, right? So don't let them put you in threat level red, but let them get like threat level yellow, and then defend it and start working on your defense through the resistance. That's important, okay? You have to learn techniques with little to no resistance. I mean, you need a cooperative resistance in order to perform any technique, but that's how you learn the actual steps of the technique. Well, how do you put it into practice, right? You don't just wait till it happens in the roll. You do it with a little bit more. So you do a line drill where you do it. You're intentionally putting yourself in that position, and you get an opportunity to work on what you learned, okay? And then you find out the problems with it, and you start fixing it, right? And so that's how you're going to develop really good, solid technique. I think the recipe for slower growth, I wouldn't say disaster, but slower growth is just technique. Oh, yeah, this is kind of a boring part of class. I did the warm-ups, did the technique. Okay, let's roll. Okay. Well, if you really want to develop your skills, you need to be very specific about what you're trying to do in each time you go in and train. And so even if you're not, even if you don't like what the instructor taught for the day and you want to work on something else, we'll take that opportunity in the line drill to focus on that. You don't even have to be open with your partner about it. Just make the mistake, let them put you in the triangle, and then you work on your defense. And if you can get out of the mindset of, oh, tapping is losing, you're going to be way better off. So, I know that's not easy. Trust me, I've been there. Like, I didn't want to tap either. There's a lot, I held myself back because of that. So, being open to putting yourself in dangerous positions in order to learn how to defend them is really, really critical. So, I think that's the first thing I'll say. I know I've kind of gone on a little bit of a rant, but that's okay. It's all right. It's important stuff.
Shocking coming from you.
I know. I'm a talker. But I do think that's important to keep in mind when you're training. And you start with somebody, let's say you're working on side body escape, okay? Well, you put somebody on top of you that you know, if you decided that you could force your way out, you could do that. So you go on the bottom and you start trying to be very technical, and you let the person work on their attacks or whatever, and you work on your escape. So that way there's not as much stress. And then little by little, you start ramping up the resistance by your training partners, okay? So the first time I try a new defense or new attack, it may not be with another black belt, it may be with my wife, and I'll try to learn how to set it up and how to utilize it properly. So I think that's helpful. I think when you start incorporating that mindset into your training, I think you're going to find that your techniques will improve a lot. And it really has been very helpful for me over the years. So now that I kind of ranted for 10 minutes, let me show you my favorite threat level red technique, okay? So threat level red is, man, you're choking, okay? Head down, arm across, we're stuck deep in the triangle, okay? So my favorite, and this is not going to be that easy because, her legs are not that long. So you may have to, so what I'm going to do, I'll explain what I'm going to do, and then I'll do it, okay? Because when she locks up the triangle, I'm going to be choking, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is change the angle of my neck. I turn here, okay? She wants that bite right there. So when she gets that bite right there, I'm sitting perfectly in the V. Go ahead and lock it up. I'm sitting perfectly in the V of the choke, and when she squeezes, man, it didn't take very long, okay? Now do it again. Lock it up. I'm still going to tap, but I lasted a little bit longer only because I just made a slight change in my neck. Okay. She wants that nice tight connection to my neck here with that. Okay. So if I turn this way, I have an opportunity, and I dig my chin purposely into her leg. Okay. It helps open up my carotid artery so that I can last a little bit longer. And that's what you're looking for, is a little bit longer. You want to survive a little bit longer, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the leg here. So this is happening simultaneously. I grab the knee, this hand comes on top. Very important. Arm that's in the triangle is on top. This one's on top of it. Because when she goes to attack an arm, it's going to be this one. So I come here, I bring this knee to the mat. Okay? So this knee comes to the floor. And now I'm on my toes. I move my body this way and I drive forward this way. And you see what's happening is she's forced to let go of the figure four. Okay? So let's scoot this way just a little bit. So my elbow gets locked on the floor here. Okay? This is here, and I move this arm out of the way and I bring that knee to the mat. Now what I'm trying to do, most people screw this up and they try to drive this way. Well, you're never going to break their legs open that way. Cross your feet. Can you lock it up?
Barely.
All right. I'm never going to, if she holds that tight, I'm never going to win this battle. But if I move this way and I push here, it compromises the knee. So what I'm trying to do is isolate the leg on the floor, drive this direction, and what happens when you keep pushing, she's forced to straighten.
And it's real squishy right here,
really
too.
squishy. It's not comfortable. It's probably not going to be comfortable there when I dig my chin in. But what happens is when you lock that up, the hips locked, knees locked, you start pushing it like this, it starts compromising the leg where she has to straighten the leg in order to deal with the pressure. So that's my favorite. But it's very important because most of the time when you bring that knee to the floor, most people are driving against the lock of the legs and they're not changing that angle. That angle is important. Okay, so that's my sort of favorite. Let's see what kind of questions we got.
Do you have a good one for the first one?
Slide down here. So there was any questions?
I think just comments so far.
Just comments. Are they good comments?
Yes.
I hope. All right.
Andrew says Threat Level Red sounds like a bad 80s movie.
Yes, it probably was actually. We did have a question from one of our top fans over here. Roadification R.
He's probably not actually with us at the moment, but I think he's going to hopefully.
Yeah, no, he had to
later.
dip out, but maybe he'll watch it later. Let's see here. I don't remember. What was the question? Can you read it for me again?
A series of chain moves from the guard. He liked the arm drag to the forearm.
Okay, so I'm having a difficult time remembering the that series. Gosh, I don't know. Maybe if you can tag me in that one. Series from the guard. Okay, well, I do like the. I'll go through it. There is a fun series here. There's a lot I like in the guard. Okay, but one series I like a lot is with this tail. Okay. Sorry if it gets a little bit loud in here because our heater just turned on. Okay, so kicked on. Hopefully I'm in a good spot here. So I like this whole tail wrap series. Okay, so if I get this tail out and I break them down, I'm going to pull this tail out here, and I want to wrap it around like this. Okay, so this is where I'll start. I'll start here, so I'm going to pull this up, and I want to get as much of that slack out of there as possible. So this is nice and tight underneath our armpit. Now I'm going to be here, and you can see how my hands are right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hand, I'm going to turn it up. So I make sure I make this grip first so that I know I have a solid grip when I go to make this pass. So I move and I come here. So now it's real tight and deep. So if I need to loosen up a little bit, I'll kind of let it slip. But this is really tight here on the neck. Now, the first simplest way to go, the first thing to attack is just the choke. I just grab on this side and now I have my cross choke. Almost always, they're going to defend their neck. So this hand's going to come up and they're going to block you here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the elbow or the arm, wherever. And so if she's defending here like this, a lot of people use the answer the phone technique. I grab this, okay? I grab the elbow here. I put the foot on the hip, and I move here. And I pull that across. And now I may have to take this arm and peel it like this. And now I'm going to come here, I lock everything up, and I'm going to pull in like this. So this is your basic Bravo choke, okay? So once I get that arm across, I'm going to move my hips, I move my body, I bring my chest up to the arm, and I'm pulling in with the legs. So I'm going to pull in, and this arm is coming back like this, okay? Now, if I break her down here, and I can't get this to pass over before she postures up, okay? All right, I can come here, like this. So if I can't make that happen, I'm gonna pull this up and I feed it to my hand. I wanna take that slack out, I'm here. Now shrink your elbow. I have it wrapped around her elbow. Now I can be very direct. I'm gonna pull this across, foot in the hip, and now we're gonna chase the arm lock. So I'm gonna come here, arm lock. If she buries her elbow and buries down nice and tight, so I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna slide down the tail, I reach around, I grab underneath of her neck here. And now we can sweep and choke at the same time. All right? So that's pretty gnarly. If they tuck their chin, you're just gonna twist their face off so they roll. All right? I mean, you're not gonna twist their face off. You're gonna be nice about it, okay? Now, if you get into this little game, I think I showed this in one of the other videos. Did I show this in the other video? Maybe I did. I start to go here, and she knows what I want, so she whips her arm out. So I sit up, and I pass it to my hand behind her back. Now here's the tricky one. I'm gonna move where I need to. This foot goes inside the tail. I take this up, down. How's that feel?
That's funky.
And so I take it up and I pin it down. Now you guys can't see, but her arm is stuck.
Yeah.
And now I come here, and then I can lock up the triangle and attack the triangle. So that's a fun little series in the guard. There's a lot there, but you know. Sorry, I found myself on the wrong side again. Okie dokie.
You're gonna make people think I have a complex or something.
Yeah. Just got warm in here. Holy smokes. All right.
We should turn the heater off.
Stack tips you were talking about. Okay, all right. How are we doing on time there? Good. Okay, so, and if we don't get to your question, we'll try to answer it next time. All right. So, let's see here. Heel hook defense. I'll tell you what, we will cover that in the next one because I need to teach her the heel hook, okay, or heel hooks, all right? So when I teach her heel hooks and get her in the right position, then we'll go over that. So let's go to the triangle. Okay, so.
Want me down?
Yes, please. So here's the, and if I had a larger person, it would be helpful too.
Sorry.
Hold on to me, hold on to me. I'm gonna pull you this way. There we go. No, it's okay. It'll still work. It just, I don't want to smash you too much. All right. So here's the deal, huh?
I said I'm bendy.
All right. So here's the deal. When I get stuck in the triangle position, okay, so let's say I'm here, boom, we're here. And I just can't, if I can posture, go and cross your feet. Okay, so if I can posture, that's ideal. But if she starts to pull my head down and I can't posture anymore, I start the stacking process. So what I'm gonna do, you can let go in here so we can talk to them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this collar, same side collar, and I anchor it here to make it very difficult for them to pull this arm across. Okay? And as soon as I'm able to, as soon as I feel like it's time for me to go, I need to go up. Okay? And the biggest difference that you see, I think this is the biggest misconception and the biggest problem I think that most people had or have had with the choke, with the stack, is that they do the stacking defense in a similar way that they do the stacking pass. Okay, so in a stack pass, if you can take open guard here. So let's say my elbow's out of the party here, okay, and I come here. All right. Well, eventually I want to be chest to chest. So when I stack her here, it's going to be like this. I slide my leg out, I drop my hip, I push my chest in, and I'm right there. I'm already chest to chest with her. In the triangle, my main objective is to defend my neck, right? Is to defend the choke. So I'm here, okay? So instead of bringing her knee to her chin, okay? Because a lot of times, like, let's switch here just for a second. I'll have you do it to me, all right? So many times, if I get this here, because I can hold this figure four without her choking me. Now bring my knee to my head. That's it. Good. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Okay. Now, are you out yet?
No.
So I get this a lot, and I'm not that uncomfortable there. I finish the choke there all the time because it's not really that much of a strain for me. So what you really need to do, and you have to do this safely with your partner, is make sure that you don't want to endanger your friend's neck, but all they have to do is let go. So I'm not trying to bring the knee. I'm not trying to stack her here. I'm trying to get this boom right away. This hand goes in the collar. I'm up on my toes, and I bring the idea here. Now you see she's letting go already, but I'm not coming down there. You're forced to let go. You feel the difference?
Yeah.
Couple details. Heavy, like big chest. Pull your shoulder blades back. That helps open up your neck.
And there's pressure here too.
There's pressure there for sure, but if the pressure is different than me stack passing, it's not this.
No.
Okay, it's here,
Over the neck.
and I'm driving my head through. Okay, not my head even. I'm stacking with my chest instead of my shoulder. I'm not doing this. I'm doing this. So I'm grabbing here to keep her neck isolated. Okay, this arm is anchored in. I keep there. Now I'm up on my toes. Now let's spin this direction. What I really want to do is bring her thighs parallel to the floor, here, see how high I am here, and bring her hips over top of her neck. She can't hold on anymore, okay? And so you can do that. Another thing that's very important is watching your line you're going through it. You're not trying to twist out of it. That's another big mistake that people make. When they do a stacking pass, a lot of times you see people doing this. And they're coming around the corner too fast, right? And they're making this move here, all right? So I'm not trying, if I start to turn like this, I start putting myself in the choke. I don't want to do that. I push my chest through. And my head stays in this line, does not cross. Okay? So that's the, yeah. But you feel a difference, right?
Yeah.
So essentially what I'm trying to do is isolate her head and her neck, bring her hips up to the point where she can't physically hold that position anymore. Okay? So I'm pretty bendy. Well, not as bendy as I used to be, but like I can roll back, put my knees on the floor for the most part. It doesn't bother me that much. But if you isolate my neck and you bring my hips over top of my head, now it's bad news. Like that, I have to bail at that point. So basically, you're just putting them into a position where they can't physically hold on to that anymore. All right. Okay. Sound on Facebook is null, huh? Can you guys hear me? Huh. Teaching white belt heel hooks for shame, Robin. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. I'm going to teach her. I'm teaching her all the leg locks. I am curious, what moves do you learn after blue belt, since all the moves you learn for self-defense are in the white belt section, and how are classes?
Mat is 12 by 12, is that right?
Yes, this mat is 12 by 12. Yep.
Kyle.
Yes. All right. White belt section, how are classes structured? In other words, how do you present new BJJ moves over time, since there are too many moves, or do you still learn new self-defense move over time? Okay, so I think I understand your question, Stephen. I think. For some reason, I can't type more than 50 words. Oh, okay, gotcha, 50 words. All right, so let me pull this a little bit closer here. I'm going to read it again. Yes, I'm curious, what moves do you learn after blue belt, since all the moves you learn for self-defense are in the white belt section, and how are classes structured? In other words, how do you present new BJJ moves over time, since there are too many moves, or do you still learn new self-defense moves over time? Okay, so let's address that. So for us at our academy, and I think you probably, I know the Gracie Academy is very similar. Obviously, we were connected at one point. You know, I mean, we were all connected. I mean, it's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, right? I mean, so, I mean, the philosophy is there. We're all following the same philosophy. My instructor, Helson Gracie, is very adamant that white to blue belt is the objective is to get your student to be street ready, meaning that you teach them the defenses, how jiu-jitsu works against the most common types of attacks. Okay, the most common types of street aggressions, and so we know what those are. We know what there's. I mean, we just have. Everybody knows. I mean, through I don't know, like. Especially now, everybody's got a flipping phone, so they pull it up and they start videotaping when an altercation's about to happen. So we know, and we know from what people are telling the police, like, hey, the person came up from behind me, grabbed me by the neck. So we know what the most common types of attacks are, and most common types of aggressions. Most of them are going to involve, closed fists and striking. And so we teach our students how to defend against that person. The most common individual out there is somebody without jiu-jitsu technique, right? And so what does that attack look like? And what do they need to be effective? So we teach our students how to control distance, right? How to get safely to the ground where you get them into a position where you can hit them and they can't hit you back. So how to defend the most common types of attacks. Somebody comes up from behind, puts you in a rear naked choke. Wraps your head in a front headlock, something like that, or just a standard headlock and tries to punch your face. Like those are the things that are very, very common. So we focus on those at the beginning. And then, like after blue belt, a lot of what we teach and a lot of what we learn and a lot of way that the jiu-jitsu starts to be directed and changes over time and evolves is through that process of what does this look like when we're sparring and training against somebody with jiu-jitsu. So for us at purple belt, now from like blue to purple belt, now we focus a little bit more heavily on how do you still improving the basics. You're always going to improve basics and fundamentals. Everybody has to do that all the way up to black belt. Okay, they will get sharper, they will get better. But how you make them better and make it more pliable is now you teach from blue belt on. How do you utilize this stuff against another skilled attacker, right? So let's say my opponent knows jiu-jitsu, right? Or knows wrestling or what have you. And so I think that's where it starts to, that's where we focus. And yes, maybe not necessarily new self-defense techniques, like if you're talking about the self-defense curriculum, but always improving details. I've learned some things from Hickson that I add into what I've learned from Helson. They're almost exactly the same, but there might be small difference in how it was taught to me here. And then, so that's what I'll share that with my students because if it makes the move more effective. Sometimes it can be, man, I'll tell you what, I struggled with a move, rear bear hug over the arms. I struggled with that move for a long time. The one where you step behind, you do a little flip, you throw them over the body. It was very, very difficult for me. I thought I was gonna not get my black belt because I was terrible at this move, and I had been doing it since I'm white belt. But I just didn't have the right details, and so I actually last year I got a chance. I was out at the Jiu-Jitsu Lifestyle Summit. And Pedro Valente, one of my favorite people, was out there, and I asked him because I know how much he focuses on the self-defense and prides himself. I mean, he's very good at the techniques, and I know that he spent a lot of time with the Grand Master as well, Gracie. And I was like, Pedro, I'm having a real difficult time with this technique. Can you help me? And he's like, okay, well, show me what you're doing. So I showed him what I was doing. I tried it, and he's like, okay, I know what you're doing. And he fixed the move for me in 5 minutes. It's like, oh, that's amazing. And so sometimes that's all it is. It's the same. I've been doing that move for 25 years. 5 minutes fixed it. And at least, I shouldn't say just fixed it, but it made it much easier. And that's the deal. And that what we're trying to do with all these techniques is make them better. So a black belt is still going to rely heavily on a straight arm lock, but he learned it as a white belt. What's different? The way he sets it up, how efficient he is at it, the timing, the technique, you name it, and just the leverage, all of it, and everything on the outsides that you don't see. That's what's getting tightened up. So you will learn a lot more techniques, but I can tell you this: I've learned a lot of techniques that I've put on the shelf that I can teach them, but I don't really use them anymore. It doesn't really fit. So I hope that explains or answered your question effectively. So.
I have a couple more questions.
Hello from San Antonio, yeah.
How much more time we have, but he's asking tips on setting up takedowns, and there's another one about north-south choke.
Okay, so we'll do maybe some takedowns and some self-defense stuff in another video where we can shift and change the cameras. We're working with a couple cameras here. So let's see if we can answer that question there. The north-south choke. I don't think you've actually learned this one yet. Okay, so let's see here. Good deal. Okay. All right. So I'm going to set up the north-south. So let me give you this preface here. I respect the north-south choke a good bit. I don't do it very often. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I don't really go for it that much. But if it's there, I will take it. So I have done this, and honestly, the one way that I'll actually catch this move, and it seems to be the best setup for me, is really in more of an attack where I start in north-south. So let's have you here. So when their arms are in like this, okay, what I need to do is isolate their neck and get the head up so I can sink in for it. I think the best way to get the choke is when the head is already up. Well, a lot of times when you go north-south or you're in side control, the head is going to be on the floor. So trying to muscle it in is going to be the biggest problem. And so you need the chin on the other side of your ribs. So it's a very specific situation. So the move that I like to set up from the most is I'll block the hip, I'll come north-south, and I'll scoop up underneath like this. And I'm not putting all my weight on Mandy because I don't want to smash her while I'm teaching the technique, okay? Because this is a lot of pressure. But what I'm doing is I'm sinking back just a little bit so I can cut this arm in between, okay? So when she has her arms here like this, okay, and I come in like this, I'm dropping here like this, okay? So now I'm changing the angle of my hips. Right now, I'm kind of here like this, and I'm dropping this hip. So it's almost like a sprawl. So, and the angle of pressure from this leg is driving from this shoulder to the far side hip. So her left shoulder, I'm aiming towards her hip. Where people mess this up is they come here, and now it's easier. Move up, come up to your knees. Come up to your knees, yes. Nothing's holding her hips down. So let's turn this way a little bit. So if I get here and I put the weight towards that hip, now come up to your knees. Not so easy. And you see what happened when I dropped my hips in. What happened to her head?
It came up.
It came up. And now when that head comes up, I'm going to sink in. I wrap here. I get as good a bite as I can. I drop my hips back. And I want my shoulder, I want my head, everything. The only thing that's going to be on her is my neck and the only thing that's going to be on her is my bicep and my shoulder over here. Okay, so this arm is underneath. I know a lot of people like Marcelo Garcia like to have the hand flat. I like to have my thumb up. It's personal preference. I feel like it props the neck up a little bit more. Okay, so once I'm here like this, I just sink down and I'm going to move her neck into the choke. And I'll squeeze my bicep a little bit. And keep moving. Okay, so how was it? Uncomfortable? No. Not terrible. So if you catch it right, you're not being. Yeah, exactly. You're not going to be. As long as you catch it right, you're not going to be cranking their neck. Okay. So once again, I block the hip. I scoop it here. I drop the hip in, and I start messing with her arms like I want this. And so when her arms are down here defending her arm, that's what she thinks I want. I slip. I drop back, move my head to the side, and then I start taking that space away by bringing my ribs towards her just moving that direction. So sliding all the way down is very important. All right. Well, I hope that helped. Yeah, I think that's good.
So we'll try to address the takedowns.
Yeah.
What, on Saturday?
Yeah, if you circle back to a Saturday, we're going to do another live from the bunker Saturday at noon. Yes, got a kids class. We are also going to be doing, this is our plan, a Jiu-Jitsu for kids live. We'll see how that goes. On Sunday at 1 p.m. That's the plan. Since I know there's so many folks out there that love jiu-jitsu and their kids are doing jiu-jitsu, or either they're doing it with their kids, or their kid was in jiu-jitsu and now isn't able to go to jiu-jitsu, or they want to introduce their kids to jiu-jitsu. So it's like a drinking game. How many times I say jiu-jitsu, you get, or I don't know which one I say more.
That.
Yeah, that. So we're gonna do that on Sunday at 1 because I have a unique opportunity. I think I'm probably maybe the one black belt in the world, possibly, maybe not, that is stuck at home with a kid in each individual age range. So I've got a 3-year-old, I've got a, what is she, 6 or 5? 6-year-old, an 8-year-old,
10.
a 10-year-old.
12.
Thank you. Listen to her.
14, 16, and 18.
Yeah, so I've got a kid in each age range and a lovely wife to train with. So I'm going to share, maybe just start with one technique and show how I do it with one kid, and then how and show how that can progress. See, this is the kind of stuff I could cut out if I were doing an actual video, but we're live. You're getting it all. So yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. So tune in for that. But another live at the bunker Saturday, 12 o'clock. We love you all. Everybody stay happy, healthy, and we'll see y'all soon. Thanks for joining us.